Welcome to this tutorial on CSS Attribute Selectors. Understanding and using CSS Attribute Selectors can effectively enhance the power and flexibility of your cascading style sheets. They allow you to target HTML elements based on their attributes and attribute values. This makes your style sheets more dynamic and precise. This is especially important in modern web development where HTML elements often have complex structures with various attributes. For this session, we will discuss different attribute selectors such as exact, contains space-separated attributes, starts with, ends with, and attribute that contains a specific substring. So we have here the exact match, space-separated match, the start with match, ends with match, and contain substring. And I will teach you the practical examples for this on front-end development. So let's get started. So this is the structure of our HTML file and CSS. We have three images. These are icon images, document, PDF, and PNG. So we will use that on this specific section. So first, let's go for the exact match. So I will explain the exact match. The exact match attribute selector targets elements with an attribute that exactly matches a specified value. This is very strict. It must be an exact match. This is essential for applying styles to specific elements without relying on class or ID selectors. For example, if you have several input fields, such as this one, you may want to style only those with, for example, a type of email, an input type of password, an input type of text. So this will ensure your styles are applied only to the desired elements, making your CSS more efficient and easier to maintain. So for example, so we have here three input forms, which is text, email, and password. So based on its attribute, we will not use specifically the element selector or any class or ID selector. So based on the attribute type, we will style this specific HTML element. So for the exact match, for example, so we can use input, so square bracket type equals email. So this one targets input type of email type. For example, so let me show you the result. So border, 2 pixel border with solid blue. So as you can see, the only affected input type will be the email. So how about background color? About, let's say, light blue. This one. So based on the attribute of type email, so we can style HTML elements. So let me copy this one. So we have, for example, text. We have also password. So if you want different settings for this, for example, how about green and light green for the password, and for the text, let's see, how about mhm, a border of black, and for example, how about a red background? Just for it's not, the color combination is not good, but for educational purposes only. So as you can see, this one is an exact match for this specific attribute. So you can select it. The next one is an attribute that contains, but the condition is space separated matching. So if I would like to design each of this button, I can target the BTN class. As you can see. So this one is at the start and this one is at the end. But the condition here is we have spacing such as this. So we will target the class BTN for both and provide a specific styling. So for example, contain space separated. How about we have a button with a class of that's tilde equals BTN. So the only one will be affected by the settings will be the attribute with BTN such as this and BTN such as this, but this one will not be affected. Okay, hope you're getting this one. So for example, let me add some padding. So more on this when we are on the layout lecture. How about border tripix solid red? So as you can see, the affected button is with the instance of class BTN and also with the class BTN. So if I change this one, but for example, secondary BTN, so this will not be affected because we are searching for a space separated match. So this one is secondary BTN already. But if I add a BTN here, so that's good. Also, if I have a settings here of, for example, red, so it will get affected because this is still a space separated class. So the affected party is the BTN and the BTN class. So next, so we can also style based on start matching with the caret symbol. So caret equals specific value. So how about what if we want to style for this example starts with HTTPS and HTTP. So we will design a specific settings for anchor tag that starts with HTTPS or HTTP. So maybe secure, this one, secure link, insecure link, and another link. So the settings will be ahref, because this is the attribute, ahref, but we are starting with, for example, our concern is HTTPS, which is the secure link. So again, so we designed the link. So if you want to learn what is this link, so you watch the previous video. So let's design this one. For all link that starts with HTTPS, we colored it green. We add another settings of font weight of bold. So this one is secure link. This one is the insecure link. But if I add S here, so it will change the specific styling. So this one starts with match. So it's concerned at the starting characters or the starting attribute. The next one is the ends with. So I will teach you here a practical application using the before and after pseudo classes. So before we start, so this one is a custom list. So we want to design the before element of the custom list. For example, this one. This one is custom list. Under the custom list, there are anchor tags such as this one. But we will design this list with an anchor tag based on the ending attributes such as .png, .pdf, then .doc. So let me design first the list. So since we are using before and after, we will use a content of black. So I will provide the images as background rather as an embed images. So the content is black. So you should look at this portion. We are going to design this one. So PNG file, PDF file. So the content is black. So in order for this to have a dimension of width and height, I need a settings of inline black. So more on this, I promise you, if we are on the layout tutorial, I will teach you the different displays such as flex box, grid, float, but I will not using float layout anymore. So about we have a width of 16 pixels, height same, margin right. So more on this property of margin and padding on the succeeding lecture. We also have background size, the background sizings. So I will say it's covered. This ensures if you set a background size of cover, this ensures that the image is this will scale as the necessity arises. Then we have also, for example, background repeat. So we will not repeat the background. So I will treat this one as background and not an embedded image. As you can see here, we have the bullet list. So how can we remove that? So for example, I will target the UL and its direct child of LI. So in order to remove the bullet, you set a list style none. And for this settings, I will have a padding of 5 pixels, top and bottom. As you can see, if I set this to 0, 5 pixels, top and bottom, and 0 on the left side. Also, we have space here because by default, ordered list has a padding. So let me remove this one. So padding left, more on this when we are doing the layout. So we have an element here with as a content of blank, display inline blank. So based on this attribute, the href sample, we will put the icon before the text. So what is the example with this one? So first, we have, for example, a href equals, or to be more specific, let's do this one. So custom list, we had an href that ends with dot png. Then before we insert a background image of URL. Remember, we have an image folder, we have a PNG file. So this one, so every time you have a PNG file as the href, so the icon will be added. So I will just modify this one. So if you have a PDF file, so you display a PDF icon. And the last one, if you have a doc file, let's say for example, DOC and DOC. Okay, so every time you add a specific link, so it will adjust. So sample.png, for example, this one is the PNG file 02. So it will adjust. So another one, I will copy this sample.pdf. So PDF file 02. So it has a specific design on the site. And of course, lastly, we have contains a substring. So as you can see here, we will have to target the word of action. It's it's at the end, it's at the start, it is at the middle. So if you have uh, cases that requires specific settings based on the existence of specific substring, you can use the star or the asterisk equals value for the containment of substring. So we will design this button at the bottom. So the styles, if it contains a substring, for example, we design a button with a data type. Data type is an attribute. Usually, we are using this type of attribute when programming at the back end side. But for now, believe me, there's a data type attribute. So data type star equals. So we are interested with the word action. So we will have a background of black. As you can see, that's the background black and a color of white. So all will be affected because this one contains data type that contains a substring of action. If I add actions, so it will also be affected because action is still existing. How about factions? Yes, it will also design. If I remove the letter T, so the settings will be removed because no action substring cannot be found already. So I hope you understand this one. So action. So still, no settings. So that's the purpose of the attribute selector that contains a substring or the star equals attribute. So I hope if you have question, so you can comment on this video or you can message me. So again, as a recap, CSS attribute selectors are a powerful tool in a web developer's arsenal. They allow for precise, flexible, and efficient styling of elements based on their attributes. By mastering these selectors, you can create a more dynamic and responsive web designs, ensuring a better user experience and more manageable code base. So thank you for listening and see you at the next lecture.